ability to just have fun together and just talk to each other. Thank you for words for us to be able to communicate with each other and just have fun together, Lord. And just it's awesome being able to be with family and in a free country and just be able to honor you everywhere we go, Lord. We thank you so much. I pray that you bring words to my mouth and that you speak to everyone here, including me, God. I pray that as we finish this summer out, that we finish strong and that we honor you in all that we do. We love you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
All right, so this is gonna be brief and not too quick or not too long. but
That's an oxymoron.
But so I'm gonna talk about how God has been my rock this year, what I've learned this year with college, and even though you're going to college, you think you have it all together. You're leaving home, and I could be talking to these two right here specifically, just because they're about to go off. I know Keats, you've already been a little bit, right? But you living by yourself without parents it's kind of weird, and it really catches you off guard. And talking to you guys in the future as well, it throws some curveballs at you, and some you don't expect, and some you won't even notice till it's already happening. And it starts off as a habit. So I want you guys to remember to catch that habit as soon as it happens, and don't say, "Oh, I'm gonna stop doing this tomorrow. I'm gonna do it now." Every time you say tomorrow, it's not gonna end up happening. So that's something I learned, that things will sneak up on you. So once you catch it quick. And another thing I learned this year is that okay. So here's my main point. So if you guys don't leave, I want you to get this. Okay, do not use God, but let God use you. Okay, and I know that, of course, we need to run to God with our troubles and run with God with what we're struggling with strength and all that. But don't use Him for your glory or for your gain or for And in other words, as athletes, a lot of us are athletes here. Don't change certain verses to mean something for you. It's all for God's glory, and always remember that. And Grammy had the Bible verse in the kitchen. I read it this morning, and it says, as long as you're following God's, I can't remember, Ecclesiastes or something, and it says, as long as you're following as long as you're obeying God, He's going to bring you knowledge, wisdom, and happiness. And I promise that happiness will come through God's glory, not our glory, because we don't know what we might chase these things that are happiness, but it's not. They're not solid. It's sinking sand, like the song we just sang, like our theme verse, that all this stuff is sinking sand. And when we chase our own glory, when we chase our own happiness, that's sinking sand right there, and that'll get you in a ditch. And whenever you're saying, I know Philippians 4:13 is a crazy encouraging verse, but sometimes we use that too much for our glory. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Every athlete grows up and thinks, okay, I believe this verse. Christ strengthens me, so I'm going to win a Heisman one day, or I'm going to win a national championship. I'm going to go D1 one day. I'm going to make it to the NFL, the NBA, whatever it may be, music. I'm speaking for athletes because a lot of us here are. I mean, I don't know some of us here, but maybe that's music, maybe that's pursuing different things in life. But just realize that God's glory is the ultimate happiness for ourselves, and that sounds weird. We want everyone looking at us at the end of the day. We want everyone noticing us, putting cameras on us. But in the end, it's for God's glory, and that's it. Even though I knew that back in high school, it hit me hard this year because I'm thinking God's just gonna give me this stuff. God's gonna give this stuff for me, for my glory, and God's gonna, do all this stuff for me, and He's gonna do this for me. And we find ourselves praying for whenever we want stuff. God, I haven't talked to you forever, but I really want this, so please let me have it. It's almost like we have this Christmas list going on and on with God, saying, God, I need this, God, I need those new J's so bad, God, give me those, whatever it may be. It's all this sinking sand we we chase, and we even pray for, we ask God for. We ask God for our own glory, sinking sand, and I learned that hard this year. And I mean, so I just want to encourage you guys to remember that the ultimate happiness, where we find our happiness, even though it doesn't seem like that's where we find it, is in God's glory, is God's name, and you know, story maybe. Okay, but you hear Paul talking about this in Corinthians, and he talks about the great prize. And my favorite thing for games is Uncle Steve would actually text me before most of the big games, and he'd say, make sure you're always chasing the true prize, the one true prize, and that's Jesus. He'd remind me every game, every big game, say, make sure you're chasing the one true prize, which is Jesus. Because that's where our solid rock is. That's where our ultimate happiness, where our knowledge, where our wisdom is in God's glory. And when we go off on our own, we think, I can do this myself. We almost have that attitude, and we let things slip, and we don't let people help us. We don't let friends help us. We don't let our families help us. But we need to realize that we need people to help us for God's glory, and it's not just us who's going to have strength, to break that habit, to break that thing that's restricting us. But it's in the strength of us as a group, as Christians, as our family, as our friends. It's in that strength that we are able to bring ultimate glory to God, and that means the best happiness in us. And it humbled me a lot this year to realize that we need to stop using God for our glory. And I see it on my football team, on all football teams. You're going to see people, and I want you guys to always remind them, and as friends, as family, as teammates, that we can't use these verses, we can't use God's strength for our glory. God's strength, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, is for God's glory. We got to realize that there's context behind that. It's not just for us. It's not, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, but for His plan and for His glory. And that's, since I was little, we always went to OSU games, and I'm like, okay, I want to go play at OSU. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna grow this year. I'm gonna get, I want to be 6'5" this year, or whatever it may be. But it never happened, and it might break your heart, and then it can get even worse. And when someone has a relationship with God that they think it's all about their glory and for their gain, for their using God, once they realize God's not all for their plan, that's going to tear the relationship with God up. And so that's not a very healthy relationship with God, a very solid relationship with God. We need to realize God's true nature is that we rest on His plan, on His true glory, and that's where our house is, our solid rock is, that it's in His name and for His glory, not our own glory. So I want to remind you guys, for you too, especially as you go out, just remember that's all for God's glory, and same for you guys. And just remember that through the years, it's not about us, but it's about God. And we need to chase the one true prize, which is Jesus, every single day of our lives. And maybe we got to give up certain plans of our life or certain dreams and goals, but in the end, like that verse says, it's going to bring us knowledge, wisdom, and the ultimate happiness. So, I'm excited to see both of you guys do your thing, and everyone else as well. I'm going to end in prayer.
Sure.
Okay.
That'll be fun.
All right.